Welcome to DPB. I'm Josh. Today we're going on a little road trip. Pick up something for the property. I'm pretty dang excited about it. I thought, this is a perfect opportunity to talk to you guys about the 5 things you should consider when you're looking for a tow rig. So I've got this 1998 GMC Crew Cab long box dually, 1 ton. It's a mouthful. And it does everything I need it to do. I think it's the perfect tow rig for me. So here are the 5 things that you should consider when you're looking for a tow rig. Number 1, and I think this is probably the most important, is make sure that whatever truck you pick up is big enough for the job. So I would say that if you're towing anything more than like a couple quads or a couple jet skis, you should get a 3/4 ton or bigger. I know there's people out there that tow with half tons. They say they can do it, and technically you can. You can put airbags on them and stuff, but they're just not gonna last. And you're gonna meet the capacity pretty quick. You gotta think about more than just like, what can I physically put in the truck? Like, yeah, you put airbags on a half ton and it's got the same size bed, it's got the same hitch, all that kind of stuff. But the transmission is not big enough and the rear end is not big enough. So 1 tons always have a more stout transmission, which means it's gonna last longer. And then they always have what's called a full floating rear axle, where a half ton has a semi-floating rear axle. What that means, basically on a half ton, the weight of your load or whatever is resting on the axle shafts, where on a 3/4 ton or 1 ton, you got the full floater, the weight of your load is carried on the hubs, and the axle shafts are independent of that. And so it lasts longer and you can hold more weight. So yeah, if you're gonna be towing more than just a couple quads, like if you're towing a wheeling rig, you're towing a camper, that kind of stuff, just get a 3/4 ton. The ride quality is still fine, and when you're towing, you're not gonna notice that big a difference in fuel economy. You might even get better with a truck that is designed for it. And a little side note on make sure it's big enough for the job. If you're getting a truck that you're gonna do any work with, and I would consider even towing, just get a long box. Short boxes should be left for wheeling rigs and street rods. Like, if it's a work truck, get an 8-foot bed. Don't screw around with the 6-foot bed, they're stupid. Like, 8-foot bed, you can fit full 8-foot sheet of plywood and shut the tailgate. With the tailgate down, you can, actually haul 16-foot lumber and the tailgate will hold it. Like, 6-foot beds are dumb, in my opinion. And consider the size of your family. I got the crew cab because I wanted to make sure that I could fit the whole family in here comfortably. So those are just 2 more little bonus tips for make sure the truck is big enough for the job. Number 2 would be, what engine type should you get in your tow rig? So, should you get a diesel? Should you just get a gas? So I've got the 454 big block here in Clyde, and it does exactly what I need it to do. So why would you pick one or the other? I think there's a few things to consider. One would be the duration and frequency of your towing trips, and then are you planning on daily driving this truck? And if so, how long is your commute? So if you are going to have frequent long hauls, I would consider getting a diesel. If your towing trips are kind of few and far between, kind of like mine, like I don't do a lot of towing, maybe 3 or 4 times a year, like a longer trip, and then lots of short trips, to like Home Depot or the gravel pit, that kind of thing. but those are like, 30-mile round trip, not that big a deal. And so gas works good for me. But if you had frequent long hauls, I would definitely consider getting a diesel, because you're going to save quite a bit in fuel probably, and the diesel motors just last forever. So those are good things to consider there. As far as daily driving, like if you are going to daily drive your tow rig and your commute's like 10 miles or less, I would probably get a gas, because it's not really great on a diesel truck to start and stop that often. But if you're gonna daily drive it and your commute's say like 30 miles or 40 miles, it might be worth it to get a diesel, because again, the fuel economy. That being said, for I think the last decade, gas has been cheaper than diesel. So you'll have to just crunch the numbers and see where you're at there. Gas works good for me because one thing, this truck's paid off, so when I'm not using it, it doesn't cost me anything, and so I can deal with the little bit poorer fuel economy with my infrequent trips. One thing I want to add to the whole fuel economy issue is some of the newer diesels actually don't get that great of mileage, especially under load. Like when we went down to the Baja 1000, we were towing a 20-foot trailer with the trophy truck, and then of course the bed is like loaded with tools, so it is a heavy load. In that Cummins, I think it was maybe 2019 or something, we only got like 10, maybe 11 miles per gallon on the trip down to Mexico and back. Like, that's pretty terrible. This truck with the 454, when I'm empty, I get 10. When I'm loaded, I get 9. And that's it. Like, it's very consistent. Yeah, empty is not great, but 9 compared to 11, when this truck was probably like a quarter of the cost of that Dodge, you can buy a lot of fuel for $30,000, I'm just saying. I'm out of washer fluid, so I'm gonna definitely have to stop and get some of that. I dumped water on there with the wipers on, and it froze, so it is cold out there. Well, that was fun. I didn't film any of it because I was just kind of frantically trying to figure things out. But I like all of a sudden lost everything but first gear on my truck. I'm like, what the frick is going on? And my voltmeter was down to like 9, or at the bottom. And basically what happened, I think, is the battery kind of got disconnected and the truck went into limp mode, which basically like it either locked it into first or locked it into second. So I had to basically disconnect the battery for a while, and then the bolt wouldn't tighten up all the way, so I had to like make a washer. I found like this little body clip that I cut up, and now it's shifting just fine. So we're back on the road. Whew, that one made me a little nervous. I'm quite a ways from home now, probably 3 hours, and I work tonight, so can't be losing a transmission. Yeah, so that's gonna be a nice little addition to the DPV fleet. So anyway, point number 3 you want to consider is you need 4-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive. I definitely need 4-wheel drive because I live where it snows, and I'm primarily into 4-wheeling, and so that's, you know, getting to the trail and stuff. It's nice to have 4-wheel drive with a little better ground clearance and better tires, and you know, the traction that comes with 4-wheel drive when sometimes you're in the mountains, the ability to use low range when you're on steep grades, that kind of stuff. But if you're, you know, let's say into drag racing, 2-wheel drive might be sufficient, especially if you live in, you know, an area that doesn't get snow, because you could save yourself money in fuel, you could save yourself money in maintenance and the initial purchase price of the tow rig. But for me, I need 4-wheel drive because I can get snow 8 months out of the year. So anyway, point number 3, 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive. And the weather has just been beautiful today. But my wife, I just got the phone with her, she said it's dumping snow at home. So to make it on the other side of the pass, might be needing that 4-wheel drive. All right, number 4, what creature comforts do you want / need? So if where you're towing is pretty close to your house, you know, you got some cool trail systems that are close, or all the tracks that you go to are close by, maybe you can get by with, you know, a beater with a heater that just has solid drivetrain. But if you're going on longer trips, you're going to want to make sure that that seat's comfortable. You're going to want to make sure that you got some tunes, the AC works good, maybe even, you know, electric windows, that kind of thing. And if you got a wife or a girlfriend, you're probably going to have to put those creature comforts a little higher on the priority list. Just saying. So this truck kind of fits the bill for me. You know, seats are comfortable. I've got tunes, AC, electric windows. You know, it's good. So, yeah, what creature comforts do you need in your tow rig? That's something to consider when you're looking. 50,000 silver dollars. Well, made it over the first pass, and no snow yet, but snowing at home, so maybe it's on the other side of 4th of July pass. Anyway, 5th and final point. When you're looking for your tow rig, you really need to look for something that you can afford. I don't think there's a good reason to spend, you know, $80,000 on a tow rig unless, you know, you're hauling for hire or something, you know, you're doing long hauls, getting paid to transport vehicles, stuff like that. Then I think maybe the, you know, that security blanket of a warranty and that kind of stuff would be nice to have. Plus your business is going to be, you know, paying for it. But if it's like a hobby, you don't need to spend $80,000 on a tow rig, you know. You can buy something that's a little bit older but still has the capacity you need, and then that frees up money to dump into your wheeling rig or your drag car or whatever it might be. Just make sure that you're being wise and, you know, not getting too carried away with, you know, the amount of money you dump into your tow rig. It is a balance though. You don't want your tow rig to become another project, because then you're not going to go wheeling. So anyway, yeah, just make sure it's something you can afford. Now, hopefully we don't run into too much snow. I do work tonight, and I have yet to take a nap. This trip has taken a little bit longer than I expected, so hopefully the rest of the trip goes well. Got some flurries. Definitely nothing to get too excited about. The lights on my trailer aren't working, except for one or one brake light, one turn signal. So I just got my flashers on so people can see my trailer back there. Not ideal, but hopefully I can get home. I got pulled over this morning for it, so no bueno. Getting close. The snow's coming down now. It's sticking on the road, but with all this weight, I don't even need four-wheel drive right now. The road's off the freeway. May need four-wheel drive there because they've already got compact snow and ice, and then with this little bit of snow on top, it's probably gonna be kind of slick. So, case in point, I live where it snows, chose four-wheel drive. All right, made it back. It's snowing pretty hard now, so that means tomorrow I get to try out the new plow, which is awesome. Yes, the side-by-side's got a plow, which is just gonna be amazing. Anyway, just wanted to recap the 5 things you need to consider when you're looking for a tow rig. Number 1, make sure that it's a big enough rig for the job. Number 2, do you need a gas or a diesel? Kind of depends on how long your trips are, how frequent they are, so on and so forth. I think in most cases a gas will suffice. Number 3, do you need 4-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive? If your hobby is primarily in, nice climates, nice times of the year, you're just going to the racetrack, 2-wheel drive might suffice, and that could save you a significant amount of money. But if you're into wheeling, you live where it snows, that type of thing, you probably want a 4-wheel drive. Number 4, creature comforts. Again, kind of depends on how long your trips are. The longer the trip, the more creature comforts you want. Also, it always helps to keep the missus happy if, you got good working AC and some tunes. And number 5, make sure that it doesn't break the bank. You want to still be able to enjoy your other hobby, the reason why you have a tow rig to begin with. But at the same time, you don't want your tow rig to become another project. So just be wise in the amount of money you spend. Make sure you get a good, solid vehicle, but don't go overboard. Anyway, those are the 5 things I think you should consider when you're looking for a tow rig. Future episode, we'll be playing with the side-by-side. If you want to see more on Clyde, my 1998 GMC Crew Cab, I got a whole playlist. You can check that out. Yeah, anyway, wheel it, wreck it, wrench it, repeat. See you next time.